मन जाकर राखो जी, गिरिधारी लाल। मन जाकर राखो जी,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. As we just talked in the last discourse, the human life is divided into 4 stages. The first stage being the brahmacharya ashram or student's life, second being family life. Then once our family desires and responsibilities are over, which is expected around age of 50, so we then think about our further goal as to advance towards our ultimate goal, what we call vanpasasram or a retired life. Usually people would then be going into not necessarily forest, but in a place where they will be more at peace, less noise and less attention to the family life, because that is all over. They handed over their responsibility to their sons or daughters who are now grown up, responsible, and they do not want to stay with the family because the attachment of the family then does not allow us to focus, concentrate our energies towards our ultimate goal of God. So then the third stage between age of 50 to 75 is to simplify, to reduce our unwarranted needs, and to find an association or people of similar nature so that we can have more devotion towards God, more opportunity to think, talk and discuss with people of similar age. That is why in our ancient time it was recommended that we withdraw from the family life as much as possible and have a new life in the forest or in the ashrams or special places that is provided for people where they can read and dedicate their time and energy towards God. I think that it is very necessary that we keep ourselves and our interest according to our age. So the third then ashram, which is a retirement, we should have planned this early so we don't have problems. Nowadays when we don't plan, we continue our family life throughout the old age also, and this is something because poor teaching in the young age, poor planning during our family life, because if we don't gamble with our life and appropriately live the disciplined life, then I think that life will be much simpler, easier, and with less anxiety, and we will be able to fulfill the goal. There will be less rituals during this third stage because you are not supposed to be having a lot of resources or funds. You have used up all that in your family life, but you need enough of your food and clothes. That much support we have to plan ourselves, but then the most of the other energy is spent in realizing that now thinking and meditating more on God. We should not be spending too much time on petty desires, but we find that even nowadays between age of 50 and 75 people are more worried about families, their income, because they haven't planned properly. Sometimes we lose our savings because we don't understand the uncertainty of life. And that is why if we have been taught properly and we live according to this disciplined life, we would have no unexpected problems, we would have more security and no anxiety, so that we will be able to think about God. And ultimately, after 75, if we are fortunate enough to live longer, then certainly we will have to be spending more time alone or with very few people who are of similar nature, and put all our efforts just like a running race in which the runner puts all his energies in his last lap. So we should also then consider that my final age and few years left, I want to run and do the best I can. That means I would be spending much more time in doing meditation, service, thinking about God, and much less about families and other unwarranted anxieties and burden. So our ancestors then had a very good vision in helping us to plan our life into 4 quarters. Sometimes we go backward and forward. We go to school at age of 50 when we are not able to even remember much. So it is better that we go gradually than we have to go back and forth. There is no harm in learning because whole life is learning process. But when it is a young age, we should be focusing because we have good memory. We focus on our studies. In the middle age, we have other energies and aspirations. We focus on our family life. As we grow older, we focus more on God and less on the other things which we are not even qualified or we may not have even energy to do. So it is good to follow the natural laws as we grow older. We don't want to reverse this gradation, but we have to always advance. This is something that after at least 2000 years of experience our sages have recommended. We hope we can learn from something. We try to apply today in our present day situation. It is not wise to say that, well, this is an ancient law and it doesn't apply. That if we want to be happy, if we want to be wise, then we are trying to do good to ourselves. If we write off the wisdom of the past, we are unfortunately writing off our own good. I think that our whole idea is to help you or help ourselves to get the best out of life. Every time we want to buy something, we always think of buying the best for our money. Our life has been very valuable, very precious, and we even don't know how much pain we have gone through to come to this human life. And we certainly don't want to trade our human life and get deceived. So whatever we are saying is for our good, but this thing can be taken of more advantage if we have faith, if we have good sanskar. There is no question of arguing because this is an experienced knowledge. We don't want to waste time. If you don't feel that you don't want to do it, it is just your own opinion and choice. I don't think that in path of spirituality there should be any force on anyone. We all learn from experience. If we don't learn from lectures or books or our parents or from the teachers, we certainly are going to learn from our own experience. But sometimes because the experience may cause us a lot of accidents, we want to help prevent as much as possible waste of energy, time and money so that you get the best out of your life, and that is the purpose. So we should have the attitude that everything that our ancestors are saying or the scriptures are teaching us is for our good, and that is really the truth. Because in spirituality there is no private agenda or a bottom line or trying to get something as a trade. This is simply a profession of love, if you want to call it a profession. It is like a love between mother and child. Mother should not expect anything from child except to raise the child out of love, and the love that she receives itself is his own payment. So in spirituality, if we do things lovingly, honestly, then we will get a joy of doing that, and that itself is the reward, so that we don't have to feel frustrated later on. somebody did not appreciate or somebody didn't give you something, even if your own son or wife, because our reward should be within our own capacity and our control, and that means if we do the best according to the principle, that itself will give us the joy and reward. Reward is already built in doing things, in performing our duties lovingly. But as soon as we have expectations, then there are frustrations, we give control to somebody else, whether they are our wife or children or society or money or name and fame, we have given control to others. And that is where we lose out, and sometimes we feel frustrated. But if we keep our life under our own control, then I think that you have very little chance to feel frustrated. And all our efforts and teachings is to give you the command of your life, but not in a sense that we will, just because we are in charge, we can behave any way we want. Discipline is absolutely necessary, because without discipline, we will not have freedom. There is a misunderstanding that discipline takes away the freedom, but it actually only a disciplined person can have freedom. Driving on the highway, if we follow the discipline, then you are necessarily free, you will be able to enjoy, you will reach your goal, you will enjoy the journey itself. But if you don't follow the discipline, then of course there is a chance of getting in trouble. We may get a ticket, police may stop us, or we may have accident. So discipline was to help you avoid all those obstacles. So even in life, when we are talking about discipline, it is not to constrain your freedom, but to help you to keep your freedom. Freedom, in other words, to define, when we have too many desires, we are already a slave of desire. I do not know how we can call ourselves free when we have made a prisoner of our own desires. So sometimes we don't even know the definition of freedom. So I think that the whole purpose of spirituality is to give man his basic right, his privilege, and his privilege is to be free, to love, to enjoy, to help others, because others are also part of himself. So everything we are talking about here is for your good. There is nobody else we are worried about, and each one have to pay attention also as a responsible person to make best of what is given to us. You always have a freedom to believe or not believe. One cannot be forced, as I say, about this thing, because God gives us that freedom. God never takes away our freedom, but He has made laws in such a way that if we don't follow the laws, we might lose our own freedom. And these are some of the definitions of the words in spirituality that we should try to understand, because if you know, a man is supposed to know. Animals cannot understand, they don't have the intelligence we are supposed to have. If we have the knowledge, we will make good use of it in our own interest, and when you are happy, you are going to make others happy. A person who is not happy cannot make others happy. A person, doctor, if he is sick, he cannot help the other people who are sick. So our interest is that if we are happy, we will make others happy. And this is really the fundamental thing. That is why God wants us that each one of us be healthy, happy, so that you can spread the happiness and joy. But we sometimes worry about others, and in so doing we become unhappy. Then we are becoming not only burden to ourselves but also to others. So it is very important that we all understand the principles on which the whole universe God has structured. If we understand His principles, we will have much better life. If we try to make our own rules, certainly He has even given us that freedom. We can always make our choice, but the wise choice would be to have minimum of obstructions and maximum of joy or love and peace in life. If that is what we want, fine. If we still do not believe in it, then we will also learn this sooner or later, that this is what we were looking for, but maybe we took little detour. Even there, God has no harm. We may try what we want, we may not believe what He says, but we will believe through experience that this is not what I wanted. So that is why the wise people and parents are trying to teach children so that they will suffer less. But children do not know, and so they think that parents are trying to constrain them. Rather, we give you wisdom so that you will stay free. The real wisdom is to stay free from our desires, because desires really control us and make us slave. If more desires you have, more things you want, more you will have to earn, and in earning you are necessarily a slave of the job, because normally we get bored very soon when we have to work, no matter how beautiful a job. As I have mentioned, even young people out of college are getting bored. Amazingly, they haven't even started the life and they are bored. Something is wrong in our system. We should be enjoying our job, and that very enjoyment is our worship. If we are selling cars, if we are working for somebody, we are in the factory, everything is a worship. The whole universe is a temple. Unfortunately, out of ignorance, we make specific places for temple. We don't do anything good there either. And what beautiful temple God has created for us. The whole universe is a temple. Every place is a temple. Your working place is a temple. Even bathroom is a temple if you keep it clean and neat. So then, if we can understand this principle, then you will save so much time in not running around to different places to find God, while God was always with us. So some of these principles, if we understand, then we will enjoy life as we go, rather than we hope that after 20 years I save money, I will retire and then enjoy, while we've lost our young age and the joy of working, joy of being with people, our families, our relatives, our associates. We always think of future and not enjoy the present life. So another principle of spirituality is that you are the temple of God, God is within us, everybody is temple of God, the whole universe is a temple of God, every garden, every flower, every tree is a temple. If we can treat then the whole world as such, then not only we won't ruin them, not only we won't misuse them, not only we will be selfishly doing things to hurt ourselves like we ruin our environment. A big issue nowadays is that out of ignorance we have created our own problem. The comforts make us slave. So some of these definitions that we need to learn and then think about it, meditate on it, and of course we'll have to have faith. And if you don't have the faith, try it out and see from your own experience. I think that we have been misguided a lot by not only the Dharma gurus or our teachers who don't even know what they are teaching. So we have to necessarily go to the saints, our genuine scriptures, and above all, trust on God within us, who is certainly going to guide us if we find that we are not finding the right education. And in this world, necessarily the Maya is made such a way that unless you watch out for yourself, nobody else is going to watch out for you. If you are going to buy a car, you want to know what car you want to buy, as I said, the type of car, the amount of money you can afford, the salesman you should know. So same way the life itself is that you want to have peace, but you should know where to go for peace, what price you have to pay, to whom to go for peace, who will guide you right, whether you have got it right. All these things are not very simple, and that is why we need a proper education, faith, love, and above all, our freedom to learn. These are the things God has no objection if we feel like that we want to experiment. We are not trying to say that you have to do it against your will. We are simply saying that this is the experience of wise people. If you have good sanskar and you believe and you do, it's fine. If you don't, see, we still should love each other and let everybody do what they want to do after having been told, having been lovingly guided. We should still not have the right to take away somebody's right not to do what they want to do. This is the real freedom. And yet, in the name of freedom, we really take away others' freedom. We say, well, I tell my son to do this because he will be happy. But actually, we are taking away his happiness by bombarding on him without understanding his aspirations, his condition, his understanding. So the wisdom of spirituality takes into account individual's aspiration, his background, But one thing we want to remember, that every person, no matter what his capability or incapability according to our own values, every person has God within him, and we must give him full opportunity. Some of the saints did not even go to school, and yet we worship them. We don't know if Jesus Christ went to Berkeley or Stanford or MIT. We don't know if Mirabai went to University of California in Los Angeles, and yet today we are worshipping them. We have put so much of false value in education that the whole makeup is wealth, that anything that brings wealth causes success. And unfortunately, that is not so. So I think that we need to be retrained in the values in life, that what is important. And again, as we said, important thing is, are we happy? Are we peaceful? Are we joyous? Are we free from anxiety? These are the values, and if these are the values we can get from the college or from the house, so far so good. But hardly we learn this thing in the school. As a matter of fact, in the universities we are taught to be inferior or superior. I am better than others, somebody, I got better grades, I am smarter than others. This pride that is built in us is actually against purpose of education. So sometimes we have to say that we may have to erase your education because you have been misguided by creating more pride in you because you have a higher degree than somebody, or you went to certain school. And these are the things that we don't think, because everybody wants their own, they have their own purpose to grind. So I would say that spirituality alone gives you impartial concern and your good, which is what we are trying to achieve in this life. So try to understand where your good is. This is what we've been talking about. We want to lead you into a proper education so that you will be free to guide yourself. So I would say that this was the purpose of the 4 ashrams that we have been talking about. Next, I think I would like to only mention in the passing before we enter into the scripture and what Lord Himself has to say. We'll be talking about Gita, where it came from, what is the purpose and all. But before that, I would like to mention that 3 things we need to know. Who is man, or what is the nature of man, who is God, and what is creation. If we can understand little bit of all these 3 things, then we'll be able to tie ourselves and understand our own greatness that God has built in us. I would say first, to talk about man, man is not what he looks like. He is not merely a piece of flesh or 2 eyes and a nose and 2 legs and the creature that he looks. Man is much more than that. If it is like a diamond box in which diamond is wrapped up in many, many layers, and a beautiful box, and if we give that box to a child, he will think that the box is everything. He doesn't know what it contains, but he is attracted more by the box because it is beautifully wrapped. Similarly, God within us, the diamond, is beautifully wrapped, but we are like children, and we simply play with the box, never trying to go inside what God has kept for us. And that is the beauty. So man should be looked upon not merely as a box or a body, but he is much more than that. He has, as we say, if we can take an example of an onion has several layers, and way inside is the seed from which the whole onion has come. Similarly, man has several layers that we should recognize, or several aspects of a human being. So man outwardly is a flesh and bone and whatever he looks like, skin, hair and all that. But that even animals have it. As we go inside him, we come to another cover which we call Pranamaya Kosh. The first is Annamaya Kosh, means it is built out of food. Our body responds to food, so we call it an Annamaya Kosh, or a cover that is made out of food. That is the body itself. Then the second cover that inside we have, or the second layer, is a Pranamaya Kosh, or the energy that we get from the oxygen that we get from the air. As we go deeper, there is a third layer we call mental, Manomaya Kosh, or a mental covering over the inside seed that we have. And we will be talking about each covering very distinctly so that we can use them properly to unfold ourselves towards our realization. The next cover that is inside is intellectual, or what we call Vivek Kosh, where we have to know what is right and wrong. We often think what is right turns out to be wrong. Sometimes what we think is wrong maybe turn out good. In life we do not really know what is right and wrong. So intellect is given to us. That is another shield. Then there is an Anandamay Kosh where we are blissful, but we are blissful because we are sleeping. Sometimes in sleep we are very blissful, but that is still a temporary thing. And the final then, the seed is God Himself, what we call Sat, Chit and Anand. So Sat, Chit and Anand is we who are really God. We are then covered by these layers, as I said, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. These covers has to be uncovered. That means we should go deep into each person's makeup, that he is not only flesh, but he is also pran, he is also intellect, he is also mind, he is also a blissful person, and above all, he is God. And how do we unfold? Well, that will be the purpose of our scriptural studies in future, that we will be helping how to look at each cover, and don't think of man only as a physical pleasure or beauty, but there is much more beauty in him, like a diamond, if we simply penetrate into the man. We don't ever look at the heart of a person, we look at the face only. And we judge people only outwardly, but we don't judge what a beautiful thing he has inside, no matter how ugly or good he may look outside, because outside is all temporary. So man then consists more than what he looks. Then, of course, about God we will be talking a lot. God has several forms, several names. One of the biggest problem is that we don't know God, we don't know how to describe Him, we don't know His forms, and the greatest problem we have created today in life is due to not knowing who God is. We all say God is one, but each one says it is my God who is one. And thus again we create problem. As we know, in 9/11 we have the problem of this destruction and this friction we create among people. Unfortunately, it has come from poor training in religion and understanding of God. So we will know more about God, His forms, and He is one, but He can have many forms, He can have different names, but He is one. Like the sun is one, the ocean is one, yet we give different names to the same sheet of water. Similarly, God, He is necessarily one, but we give different names. We should not insist on our God because God is only one, so it is not my God or your God, it is simply God. So if we will get the better training, then we will have much less friction among Hindus, Muslims, Christians, or any other, or even those who don't believe in God, does not matter. There is never a reason to be in friction or anger or jealousy or hatred that we see today in the world, that creates uncertainty, anxiety, and destruction. All because we have not been taught properly what religion is, what God is, who we are, and what is this creation. My purpose is to point out this thing, that we must learn what man is all about, who we are, how much more we are than what we think. Who is God? Where is He? What is His form? How do I know He is God? And how do I trust and all these things? We will be able to experience all these things too ourselves. We don't take anything by word or blind faith. I don't want you to be superfluous or superstitious or don't believe in magics. I want you to trust your conscience, your own experience, and the experience of the sages. Don't want to take you on a false ride. You will have to work hard. We don't want to give you false promises also, that you can buy God or you can buy peace or joy. You have to pay the price, and the price is discipline. That we can all have. It doesn't require money. It doesn't require any high education. God has given us built-in desire, faith, that we want to head towards this thing. So I would say that let us learn about who the man is. And when I say man, I don't mean man, I mean man or a female. It is one and the same. So we should know ourselves, we should know God, and we should also know the creation that is made out of five elements: the sky, the air, the sun, the water, the earth. Again, we are talking about environment out of which we are made. Our body is made out of these five elements. Every body is made out of these five elements. If we understand all these things, then we will not be seeking the differences, but rather we will learn in harmony. And it is the unity and harmony that's what we are looking for. That alone is going to give us peace. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.